Hello and welcome to the Are We There Yet podcast. I'm Michelle Abraham, your host, and today I am with KAYLEE SYMMIT, and I'm super excited to have KAYLEE on with us. She is my kind of girl, adventures all over the place, lives from RV or backpack or however she travels, and has a really adventurous lifestyle. And recently has just been in an RV with her 3 dogs and her husband. So KAYLEE, welcome to the Are We There Yet podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. And honestly, I am very adventurous because my maiden name is Spinhern, and my husband and I got married on the top of the Appalachian Trail on McAfee Knob, and we both changed our name to Summit. So if that gives you an idea about how adventurous we are, that would be a good clue.
Absolutely. That is awesome. I didn't even know that about you. So cool. And KAYLEE also has a coaching business. So she helps entrepreneurs get started with Entrepreneur Academy. And you can find her at coachingwithkaylee.com. So super excited to have you with us. And let's talk a little bit about this adventure. How did it start? Where have you gone? You've even written a book about it. So let's go there to start.
I feel like it's been like a adventure that slowly unfolded for me. So when I was younger, when I was maybe, how old was I? Like 17, 18, I was like, I'm going to do all of my far away travel while I'm young. And I'm going to do a road trip across the US when I'm older. So apparently 33 is old. So that's when I started my trip across the US. And I've always had this really adventurous spirit. And, I did the traditional thing, I went to college and I got like career jobs and I did all these like 9-to-5 things. And I really kept being pulled to travel. So I would like work my butt off and save a bunch of money and then travel until the money ran out and then go back to the States and work my butt off until I had enough money and so on and so forth. So I kind of got burnt out from that lifestyle. And then I started to create my own business around the lifestyle that I wanted, which is part of this traveling full-time thing. And then I got married and then I got dogs. So of course, like the overseas travel kind of died down a little bit and I still wanted to continue on this adventurous lifestyle. So we got an RV. We really got an RV for the dogs so they can have AC and heat. They're pretty spoiled and we can't just leave them in a car while we're hiking or checking out national parks. So we purchased the RV about a year ago and we spent the last 8 months living in it and traveling across the US, just kind of checking out national parks and relaxing and exploring. And I've definitely documented all of this in my travel blog, and I've written a couple books about it, just quick little ebooks that kind of help people who are just beginning in this journey can kind of make sense of how to prepare for it the best way they know how.
Awesome. And so now we can find those ebooks and your blog at coachingwithkaylee.com. Is that where they all are?
Yeah, underneath on my website, you'll have it there, and they'll be linked to the Amazon, so you can purchase it right on Amazon.
Awesome. That sounds great. And so when you guys were thinking about moving into an RV, what were some of the things that you took into consideration as far as, packing up your life for a certain amount of time and moving into a very small space with work and husband and dogs?
I think it depends on who you're speaking to. If you're speaking to me, like because I've been traveling so long and I've turned into such a minimalist because of my lifestyle, moving into a small space and organizing up that small space and living in a small space, I'm really flexible and that's a very easy transition for me. If you're speaking to my husband, it's a whole different story. So for him, it was really challenging, especially because he likes to be really handy. So he has a lot of tools and he just loves to collect items and he feels really secure having a lot of items. So when you're planning on going into an RV and of course, one of your first thoughts are like, well, how the hell am I going to live in such a small space? You really need to reflect on your personality and make sure that that's going to be a really good move for you, especially if it's going to be long-term, like weekend trips or week trips, no big deal. But full-time might be kind of a challenge. So anticipating that. So what we did actually is we parked the RV outside of our house and we slowly moved items in as we needed them. And we took small trips. We spent the night in it a couple nights just to get used to the space and get the dogs used to the spaces too, and get used to like just having less and figuring out, like we went on a 3-day trip and we're like, oh, we forgot this, and this. Let's make sure we put that on the list. So we actually had a list of things that we made sure that we knew we needed for the trip and nothing excess. So that was part of the transition. It was kind of like, let's spend the night in it. Let's spend the weekend in it. Let's do like a 5-day trip in it. And then slowly begin to get to know yourself in that space and get to know what your needs are.
That's a great idea. I think a lot of people, a lot of our guests have said that they've kind of, you know, as they're moving out of their house, they move into the RV, but keep it parked outside the house. So they live in the RV for a little bit. And I think that's a really great way of transitioning. It seems to work really well. And it seems to be a little bit less stress on everyone, where you just do little trips. So some of our guests have been weekenders and then move full time. And so that seems like a really great way to do it. So now when you were looking at moving into your RV for a certain amount of time, did you do any budgeting financially ahead of time, or did you have to sell a house or anything like that? Or what was your transition as far as financially goes?
We didn't have to sell the house, but we decided to go full-time RV after my husband separated from the Navy. So he did about almost 9 years. And he didn't want to continue on his military path. He wanted to have some civilian freedom, which I totally support. And what better way to support that freedom than going on a road trip? So budgeting, I'm an accountant. I've been an accountant for 12 years. So I do like business strategy, and I definitely focus around the numbers of things. So for me, it's very natural for me to be like, okay, here's our budget. Here's what we need to plan for, especially because we're getting down onto one income. So I work from home, so my income's not going to change. I can increase it or decrease it depending on how much work I want to do directly related to my business. But my husband not working was going to be a lifestyle change for us as well. So I would definitely sit down with your partner, if you're going to be doing this with a partner, and talk about what sacrifices you might have to make, and maybe some creative income ideas for you while you're on the road full time. So that way it's no surprise on how much money you have in your savings that you're going to be using if you have a savings, or how much money you'll need to be making along the way. So things to definitely incorporate are park fees. So park fees average about $30 a night. You can boondock, which means you can go out and just kind of park your RV in a field and kind of live that way. But of course you have limited resources because of your tanks and things like that, access to fresh water and the toilet and all that good stuff. So definitely RV fees, about $30 per night on average. Gas, so you need to calculate how much gas you're going to be using and how much mileage you can go on whatever you're pulling your RV in, or if it's just one of those big RVs. And then food budgeting. So those are the three major ones that you're going to have to consider that are going to be the biggest detriment to your budget and your income that you might need.
Right. And so for you guys, when you're traveling with pets, did you find that there are any places that you couldn't bring pets, or there were some places that other extra special things you needed to consider with the pets?
Yeah, so the pets change everything. If it were just my husband and I, we would live at in the back of the Subaru and tent camp across the US, no problem. But having the pets, it really changes how we do things. So the only thing that we really weren't able to bring into any national park. So national parks don't allow any pets. So making sure that we schedule around that, so I feel comfortable leaving the dogs home no longer than 5 hours. That's my max on just really pushing it. So planning your life around just kind of where you can bring pets and where you can't. There's an app called Bring Fido. It's the best app out there. And it tells you parks and restaurants and places that your pets can and cannot go. And that was the easiest thing for me to be we need to go eat. Where should we park? And let me just check, Bring Fido and go to a restaurant that takes dogs or doesn't and park the RV. So there is some definitely lifestyle changes. Yeah, but it's so convenient. It's so convenient. And I would highly recommend if you have pets, then I would do the Bring Fido app. Bring Fido app for sure.
Now I'm sure it's like me. My background is backpacking and traveling around in a backpack. So for me, thinking about going to an RV now is it's luxury almost, because it's I have food there. There's sleeping there. So it's really great. So from now transitioning from that kind of traveling too that you did, what was some of the things that RVing's got a whole different set of things that you need to think about as far as planning your trip? Did you guys plan far ahead? Did you kind of plan as you went along, or did you kind of go with the flow in your trip, or you had an idea where you're going?
A little bit of both. So I was very much like you, where I had a carry-on that I brought where I lived in Asia for 3 months and moved from Hawaii to Virginia. So honestly, RV living to me felt like cheating. I was I'm cheating. This is way too luxurious. I got a bed. We had a 27-foot trailer with 3 slide outs. So we had a whole separate bedroom with a queen size bed and a bathroom and a full kitchen. It was really nice. So, I'm sorry, what was your question? I got like so wrapped up in like the luxurious life of RV living.
Yeah, and then it was all about the planning. So like, did you
The
guys
planning, right.
you plan ahead or no?
We did. We actually mapped out our entire route on roadtrippers.com. And it was a great way for us to kind of collaborate on what was important and what like my must-have list and his must-have list, because this is a lifetime, once in a lifetime opportunity, right? So we wanted to make the most of it. So we planned out our entire trip on roadtrippers.com. And of course, we know that there's going to be some flexibility with that. And we actually got a lot of things on our list totally marked off. The only things that really changed our trip was the weather. So as opposed to like shooting up to Wisconsin in May, we actually stayed in New Mexico because it was nice and warm. So you really have to, if you're going to be living in an RV, you have to be flexible. But there's no harm in at least giving yourself a shell of what you truly want to experience, because this is a really unique space and a beautiful space where you can really plan the life that you want to have. So definitely take that with care, but don't be too rigid where you're going to be disappointed that you can't see like all of the things that you wanted to see. Just make sure you have like a highlighted list of like must-haves, no negotiation, and then a list of like, it'd be cool if, you know.
What was on your top 5 list for you?
I wanted to go in this swimming hole in Florida, the Devil's, I think it was called Devil's Den or something like that. I really wanted to go in this really cool underground swimming like pool. And it turned out to be like way beyond our daily budget, but we were both just like, we're both here, we're going to do it. It's going to be awesome. And it really was awesome. It was like this underground swimming area. It was so beautiful. The Grand Canyon was definitely on mine for sure. I had to see the Grand Canyon. I've never seen it before. So that was on my must have. And a lot of them were kind of food oriented as well. Like I have to have like this kind of food in New Orleans, and I have to have this kind of food in Texas, you know? So mine was more like plate driven and culture driven as well. And then also seeing people. So like my Nana was on my list. So like my sister came down to Florida and we all had a really great time. So mine was comprised of food, people, and sights. So I got to see and do and eat all the things that I was planning on.
Awesome. And did you guys check out a lot of the national parks too?
All of them, I swear. We even have a little passport. So if you don't have those little passports you can buy at the parks, you get the little stamps every time you go to a park. We definitely have that. We've been filling it up for sure. It's been really awesome. We've hit up every single national park we can. And by the way, if you haven't bought the $80 annual national park pass, get it. It saves you so much money. $80 might seem like a lot, but once you've used it like 15, 20 times, it really pays for itself.
Right. I would imagine that saves a lot of money. That's
Tons.
great. And so what's now on, so now you told me something just before the interview, which I found really interesting, that your husband now is in the RV and he's working for Tesla from his RV, which I think that's great. And you're staying in location, you were staying in one location for the winter. And can you just talk a little bit about that? Like kind of what made that decision, and like, you know, what's coming up next for your adventure travels together, and, you know, and how you have to be kind of okay with like switching things up as you go along.
Yeah, we have like a general plan to be in the RV for 6 months and go on this cross the trek, the US road trip kind of thing. And we got about halfway. We went from Virginia down and around and over, and we landed in New Mexico. And I was being really called to New Mexico in general. I really love the space. I've never been here before. And I'm kind of, you know, I'm an intuitive business coach, and I'm a yogi as well. So it's like I have that energy thing. So I definitely wanted to be here. I'm being called to be here. And we also, at the same time, like everything kind of pushed me to stay here. So we kind of missed our window to get up to Alaska this year. So I was like, all right, since we can't get up to Alaska this year, I really like it here. Let's chill here. So we rented a house for the winter, and it's great for the dogs to have some stability as well, because all that moving did kind of create some stress for them. And also stress on my business, because like, you know, unreliable cell service and unreliable Wi-Fi, especially if you're going to be doing like national parks, they don't have like any cell service at all. So the flexibility part is like, we did about 8 months in the RV. I am staying in the house. Chris got a really great job up at Tesla. So I was like, well, we have the RV. Why don't you just stay there? I'm going to stay here for the winter. I'll meet up with you in the spring, and then I'll continue the trip up to Alaska if you know, so you can continue to work for Tesla. So just because you've committed to being in an RV full time doesn't mean you have to stay there forever. Like just feel out the process, you know, tap into what's going on with your life and what's more aligned with what your goals and dreams are.
Right. That's awesome. It's good to remember that too. And like, you know, be flexible with where you're going to go and what you want to do. And, you know, like think your goals always change, and, you know, you don't have to be stuck to being a full-time RVer, and that's what you said you were. So, you know, I love that. So KAYLEE, thanks so much for being with us today on the RV There Yet podcast.
Thank you.
Looking forward to your summit interview coming up on our summit. And, thanks again. And for all of you guys, I want to check out KAYLEE's books that she's written about all her crazy adventures. You can head over to her website. And it is KAYLEE Summit, coachingwithkaylee.com. And we look forward to seeing you over there. Thanks, KAYLEE.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.